Right, well, David Roches is a professor at the National Defense University and a former Pentagon official joining us live now from Washington, D.C. You will have seen, I'm sure, those pictures of state media in Iran being attacked by Israel. This is whenever there's a takeover, whenever there's a war, whenever there's a group that wants to kick out or get rid of a regime, one of the first things they do is take over state TV. Why is that?
Because they want to stop the ruling regime from propagating its messages and sending strategic and tactical commands. But targeting a studio is not a good way of doing it because it's easily replicated. I mean, I'm talking to you from an iPad and an empty thing. What you would do is target the transmission facilities. Those are much more difficult to replace and to operate. So that's generally how it works, but that's usually in a coup rather than an invasion.
And when you see these scenarios play out, what do you think comes next? Is this just a warning hit, a warning strike, or is it for bigger things to come, do you reckon?
I reckon that this is not a... unless there was a target. Well, first off, first reports in were always wrong. So we don't know what exactly. We know there was an explosion. We don't know what it was. We don't know what it was aimed at. There's the possibility that a target was misidentified. There's a possibility that, it could be there was a hit or an airplane was brought down or even an air defense missile went astray. But that being said, right now, Israel's military priorities are to destroy the nuclear sites, destroy Iran's air defense network further, and destroy Iran's ability to launch ballistic missiles. So anything that detracts from that is questionable from a military point. So I think that trying to find some sort of justification for this, it is not smart for Israel to launch a deliberate attack on a television studio. That would suggest to me that there's some sort of error that was made. If you were to attack communications, there's a possibility of a co-located national security communications infrastructure, which is always a possibility. But right now, I think that this would seem to be a departure from what's been a pretty disciplined calculus of attacks.
Just to let you know, Mr. David Roches, Iran has actually said that it will now respond with the largest rocket attack to strikes on Israel. We're yet to see that. We haven't seen it. But clearly, the hitting state TV is really going to anger the Iranians and potentially escalate this much, much further.
Well, as you've heard from your Iranian correspondents, the Iranian regime certainly wants to make it a point to anger Iranians, to coalesce the nation around it. But again, we know there was an explosion. We don't know what it was. And it doesn't make sense in terms of Israel's strategy to target television studios. So I think there may be less here than meets the eye. And the problem is, generals like to act as if war is precise, but once you do it, it's not. And sometimes you hit things that you don't want to hit. And sometimes the other side, defensive weapons could go astray. But right now, Israel, for example, has refrained from targeting the supreme leader, members of the National Assembly. They haven't even targeted members of the regular armed forces, only
and why do you think that
Revolutionary Guard. Because I think that their operational plan is still somewhat focused, and I think that they're trying to establish rules. So they're trying to establish informal rules of the road. So they have not attacked so far Israel or Iran's oil supporting network, and they have not attacked the national leadership outside of the Revolutionary Guard and the atomic program. So this would appear to be a departure from that. So I would be hesitant to draw any conclusions as to intent at this moment.
And Mr. David, when you look at the strategy that is being played out by both countries, when it comes to Israel, they seem to aim at overwhelming the defense system that Israel has. Is it doing that? Because we have seen a lot of damage. There's been casualties in Israel. And most often than not, the defense system there does work. But it seems to be failing a lot at the moment.
That is an excellent question, and I'm so glad you asked that. So, air defense systems and missile defense systems are actually point systems. They're designed to defend specific points. That point can be bigger or smaller, but it's usually points. You can overwhelm them if you say a defense battery has 20 missiles. If you fire 22 missiles at it, even assuming 100% success, you still get 2 missiles in. I think what we've seen in recent days is that there's been a broadening of targets that the Israelis are firing, or that the Iranians are firing at Israel, that includes some areas that are not defended or not capable of being defended while others are there. What I had expected, though, was not, double digits of missiles in every way. If I was expecting 1,500 missiles, and if they had all aimed at the same point, they would have overwhelmed any missile defense. So the fact that we haven't seen that indicates to me, I think, that Iran's ballistic missile inventory has been severely degraded.
And that, I believe, is also while I think Iran, there has been claims that 2 of those defense systems have actually ended up firing each other as it gets confused with the calculations. But I just also want to shift. I just want to shift to something else here. Israel rather is claiming that it has complete control over Iran's skies. How important is it for Israel to do so if that claim is true?
Well, yeah. So first off, complete control of the skies is a little deceiving. I mean, there's always the possibility that somebody with a man-launched surface-to-air missile will be able to bring down an airplane. So control of the sky is subject to geographic and time limits. But that being said, the implications of this, it does appear that Israel is now able to fly non-stealth aircraft and drop gravity-launched bombs. What that means is that
what does that mean? What's a gravity-launched bomb?
A traditional, like a World War II bomb, that you have to fly an airplane over something to drop it, rather than a missile that's launched from a distance, perhaps out of the range of Iranian air defenses. So what that indicates to me is that Iranian air defenses are not seen as an insurmountable problem by Israel. And also a gravity-launched bomb, such as the bombs that destroyed the Iranian Air Force capacity at Hamdan Air Base, they are cheap compared to missiles. So Israel is now able to use a very large inventory of easily replaced weapons to destroy Iranian ballistic missiles that are not as cheap and are very difficult to replace. And ultimately, if the degradation of Iranian air defenses continues, Israel will be able to escalate in precision and in the amount of weapon they deliver onto their targets, particularly the nuclear weapons storage locations.
OK, thank you very much for your time, Mr. David Roches.
Excellent questions. Thank you.
Thank you.